Reward and recognition is a user feature. This module, like others, is all about giving back to the users that are on your account. My name is Nathan Chang, and I'm the Customer Success Manager at MES.
Let's take a look at how we can set up the items and allocate them.
And it can be split up into 3 different types. 1. Reward, where a user has performed well, or they have completed an event, shift, or a certain number of hours. 2. Entitlement, where they are required to have an item in order for them to be able to perform that role. And 3. Redemption. This is where they have completed a specific number of tasks, which could be divided up to an event, a shift, or maybe even a certain number of hours, which has entitled them to a number of points. With these points, they can then go and claim back a reward that you have deemed redeemable. All of these can be set up by us first creating an item. So if you navigate to the users section and click on reward and recognition and then items, you're then able to see all the items that have been created, a microphone. But then you can click on the create button. I can then mark it as distributor, which means I can assign quantity to it, which allows us to be able to measure it on the dashboard. So I'm going to say that this has a quantity of 10. If I then say it's also redeemable, then it means that this will be displayed for a user or volunteer for them to be able to select as an item. Publishing it makes it then available for selection. Alternatively, I can upload an image if I want to. Once the item has been saved, I can then begin the first way of allocation, which is to manually assign the user directly within the item. Another method of allocation is within the reward and recognition. You can then go and mark it by way of a rule. Clicking the create button brings up the screen. It's best for you to set the name of the actual item in allocating, so this one will be walkie-talkie, and then I can determine the type. Remembering what the purpose of the item is for, the best option for this type of allocation would be either for reward. I can then go and select one of the rules which are based on it, so whether they've completed a total number of shifts, a total number of events, or a total number of shift hours. So I'm going to say for anyone that has completed 50 hours, they're going to be entitled to a walkie-talkie. I can then go and use all the attributes which I've created to then make this more specific for how this item is then allocated. In this case, I'm not going to add any kind of rules or conditions. I'm just going to assign it for everyone who has completed 50 hours. Clicking save now allows me to then bring up which item I want to be available or to use this rule. So in this case, I'm going to say I want my walkie-talkie to be allocated, and I'm going to say that there's a quantity of 1 per person which will be allocated. I can then say the duration of which the item is available for once it has been allocated to them. Everything up to 365 days, which as everyone knows is 1 year. In this case, I'm going to leave it blank, so I'll leave it as 0. Now, let's take a look at how we can allocate an item by way of an automation. Clicking on settings and going into automation by way of the advanced section, I'm now able to go and see the different type of actions that I can do in order to assign a reward. In this case, I've got my automation ID 643, which I'm going to update, which was already created. This is set so that when someone applies and they are a shift leader, an item can then be assigned to them. Clicking on the update, you can see the action that's there is reward and recognition item assigned. Clicking on options, I've determined that this is an entitlement because it's a 2-way radio for a team leader to have, and they have it available for 365 days in order for them to claim it. Additionally, I can also assign points based on automation. So using the same scenario, we now have a team leader who, upon actually accepting assigned to an event, he can then have 2 points in order for him to be able to redeem an item. When looking at the automations, there is also the ability there, once an item has been redeemed, you can then use a further action, which can be either to move them onto a checkpoint, or you can assign them using the various different actions. In this case, the most suitable one that I've picked is for me to give them an email to let them know or to thank them for what they have done. Now let's take a look at what it looks like when an item is actually redeemed and how it appears. An item is redeemed via the portal, and this can be done during the check-in process or when someone has been allocated points by redeeming them. I'm just going to the portal now for you to take a look at what it looks like when an item has been redeemed. I've gone into leader mode so I can see my event is actually for tomorrow. Tim Boyd has been allocated a certain number of points, and upon performing the check-in, I'm then able to then collect these points for redemption. As Tim Boyd is a team leader, he's been allocated a two-way radio entitlement, which I can then proceed to go and say has been collected. Now that these items have been distributed, it will then update within the actual section. When it comes to reward and recognition, this is actual way for all items to be redeemed, and it's via the portal. The only other place is when you're actually within the admin profile and you're actually allocating and collecting. So I'm going to Tim Boyd now, and I can actually go and check inside his inventory, and I can see that he's had these items which are assigned to him. He's also got 0 points, so I'm going to manually assign him some points so that we can see the next part, which is how someone redeems a point allocation. So by impersonating, I can demonstrate this using the user, and I can go down to the reward section where I can see the various type of items which are available for collection. If he wishes, he can redeem one, and he now has the Crash Bandicoot reward medal for excellence. If you have any questions, please reach out to support, and we'll happily give you some more information on reward and recognition.